Hello, everybody. Wow, it's Wednesday, and things have just gotten completely out of control. People say I've been too excited since January 11th, but nothing like the excitement today. You'll see the pump is back. The pump has not been here since April 2021. It's back, and there's more. Let's jump in. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to mods in chat, and shout out to Axeman. Thank you all for coming. Again, I will stress this one more time. For the first time in history, we have an unprecedented amount of capital coming in to the hardest asset on the planet that's going to become a lot harder in just over 30 days. This is the most remarkable economic experiment in the history of the planet. Invested is here. Great. Thank you. Let's jump in. As usual, we won't waste any time. And of course, this just came in from the team. They did it on the fly. Great little conversation in the live chat just before the video started. Ryan Petty says, I'm a new Patreon user enjoying the content. Susie Gemini responded, I joined January, so I'm new to Patreon, and it has truly been a guide to this date. So thank you guys and gals for joining. Lovely. And don't forget, Bitcoin only content is here in this playlist. Bitcoin, all Bitcoin every single day. Bitcoin Daily is here. And we now have 35 days to go. AKA, guess how many weeks that is? What's 5 times 7? Not much. Anyway, it's bonkers. And let's start jumping into some of the data because there's so much. This is supposed to be a quick and dirty video. We've got over 40 slides to go through. So let's go real quick. Shark Lover, thank you for coming. First slide is we're 42 days into this ETF, and we had not just a record flow, but a mind-blowing flow. It's like people are going out of their minds, dancing, having fun. But there's a lot more fun to come. We are so early. I'll show you a chart at the end that says we're going to smash 100K real soon and heading to 228K. And imagine we were buying this puppy under 16,000 not too long ago. It's madness. And that's not the only thing pumping today. Everything's pumping. MicroStrategy hit 1770, which is insane. Again, we were buying that at 190 and lower. It's like, pfft. Anyway, rampant inflows. We're talking about the Rampage today, everybody. Capital continues to flow rampantly into this weird thing called a Bitcoin asset. And now this is the net realized profit loss metric. Shows an inflow of $3.58 billion. This is the third largest inflow on record and just $91.7 million below the all-time high, highlighting the magnitude of the current flow that's coming into Bitcoin. And the world is not ready for the hardness it's going to hit real soon, if not already. And there's tons of new debt issuance as the government goes. This also is what I call stealth liquidity. This is US Treasury monthly note bond issuance. You can see what it's been doing in 2024. It's scooting up. As I noticed yesterday, we had nearly $500 billion in increased liquidity. This will trickle down into the system and the money will flow into the best assets, which is Bitcoin. So it's all related. In addition to the shout out to those in South Africa, I actually have a growing South African audience. Hello, everybody. But South Africa is now going to deploy 60 crypto licenses for 60 crypto platforms at the end of the month. Again, the content is to oblige digital asset exchanges to have permits to operate, which is good. Again, more money all around the world. These things are getting licensed like mad. And this is from Bitwise CIO. And he says the demand for Bitcoin ETFs is widespread and strong and will persist for a while. Interest is very high among professional investors, and he's on a 20-day investor roadshow. He's out there listening, learning, teaching, educating, and the demand is through the roof. But there's more about the crazy demand out there. In another new record, the ETFs added 15,092 Bitcoin. 15,000 yesterday. We're making 900 a day and 15,000 are being sucked into this ETF thing. I'll show you my estimate from yesterday and a conclusion about long-form posts on Twitter too. And BlackRock is the beast. BlackRock Bitcoin ETF inflows just overtook Grayscale's total outflows for the first time. BlackRock took in $1 billion for the first time yesterday, and inflows are accelerating while GBTC are flattening out. The dumpage at last is slowing down at Grayscale. When we break down all the numbers, I'll show that to you. And the T+1 manipulation that I've been talking about since day 2 of these ETFs. Now the world sees it too. So you got players like Jane Street, etc., playing with it. So every day, okay, the ETFs sell shares. They take in cash. Then they got to buy Bitcoin. But they need the price of Bitcoin to be cheaper than what they sell it for. Donald Craig Harris, thank you so much. Don't forget to hide your identity on the internet. Very important. But you can see here, dumping of Bitcoin futures to push prices lower, and at the same time record buying via Bitcoin ETFs at an artificially lower price. Every day, rinse, repeat. BlackRock's ETF just bought the most Bitcoin in one day on record. So shout out to Zero Hedge for picking up on that. We've been talking about that now for nearly 3 months, which is insane, and it's happening. That's the T+1, but it doesn't matter. As long as you don't get shaken out, you're going to be just fine. Now, in more breaking news, this is interesting. This statement from Ryan Selkis suggests that the individual views the act of holding Bitcoin is a protected right in the United States, and it's similar to protections granted by the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, and that means the amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures and ensures the right to privacy. Okay, this is very, very important for Bitcoin. CBTCs are for China and for Europe, and the US has a superior product already in dollar stablecoins, which will have a clear product market fit and simply needs regulations. Crypto innovators should be coming to America. So well done, Ryan. Very good post there. Now, this is more crazy news. Again, it's just nonstop records every single day. As I mentioned before, 312. A day that'll live in infamy till tomorrow when there's another new record. This is the amount of EBIT from, I think it's HODL 15. And you can see here that it is a record again, non-stop. The red line, by the way, it's hard to see on this chart, but the red line is the number mined today. So far, over the last 2 months, only one day has there been less consumption than the amount mined. One day. This thing is scarce. This thing is hard. I keep on having to emphasize that. In addition, open interest hits an all-new time high, surging way past 2021 bull market levels. Remember, many people consider we're not even in the bull market until we get through the halving. We're way before the halving, and we're breaking records left, right, and center. That's why this time is different and has been different for a long time. And the most perspective you can ever get from one chart is this 16.2x ratio. The ETFs are vacuuming up 16.2 times the daily production as of yesterday. And that will become like 34, 35 times in 34, 35 days. You can't make this stuff up. It's going to go bonkers. Way more than people ever expected. And I'm letting you know now early. And the Bitcoin realized market cap continues to soar. It's now over $500 billion. The asset was under $500 billion not too long ago. And this indicates how much capital has been put into Bitcoin at the time of investment and when compared to the total market cap. And it can show you how much aggregate profit holders are experiencing. Hence Annika dancing away on the Alps in Switzerland because everybody is making crazy money. As I mentioned yesterday, 2,000 new Bitcoin millionaires are being minted every single day. 2,000. Bonkers. Now, in other news, things that we have suspected but we couldn't put our finger on, but now it's actually being leaked. Remember I said, it's probably people like Jeff Bezos, etc., selling stocks in Amazon to buy Bitcoin. Well, it's not pointing to Jeff Bezos, but it's pointing to high net worth individuals. This is the new big money. New ETFs, as I've said, most of the money in GBTC was for speculation purposes, and it didn't circle out of Grayscale and into the new ETFs. It went elsewhere. But it shows you that these new ETFs, the money is net new, and it's coming from probably some very high net worth individuals, which will surprise you who they are on May 15th. Hat tip to Sanjay as well for the imagery. I wonder is Pelosi in there and others too. We'll see. But it is, again, it'll be a great list. I'll be looking for that in 2 months. Now, more Rampage. This is another beautiful visual from Alastair Milne. You can see the acceleration in buying. Again, this thing is not slowing down. It's accelerating. and it's going to accelerate into the halving. I did a video a week or so ago. My target was 99,000 by the halving. And the day later, I had to up that target to 105,000 based on history. It's crazy. We are now, let me check the price, in real time, $73,000. It's not a big leap to go from 73 to 100, especially after us coming from 40 straight up to 73 since January 11th. Crazy. Anyway, from TED Talks Macro as well, friend of the channel, fund inflows like we have never seen before. It makes 2020 look small, and the price will continue to catch up over the coming months. And this is the steady grind to 100K is underway, which I like. But we're going way higher than 100K. No doubt about that. No doubt at all. Given all the data that I look at every single day, there's no doubt we're going to smash 100,000 pretty soon. And James Van Straten, he talks about how the GBT sellers are almost gone. Record day of inflows, over 1 billion. That's almost 15,000 Bitcoin. It is actually 15,000 Bitcoin off the market in a day. Note, GBTC outflows have evaporated. Gemini done selling, or investors waiting for the new mini ETF. We're not sure exactly what. Either way, there's no more dumpage. And remember, as I always said, the money leaving GBTC, most of it is not going into the new ETFs. It's net new money. And it's only just begun, ladies and gentlemen. Terrifying prospect. And Elon Musk is trolling the US dollar. Many of you saw this probably flying around yesterday. These scam coins are getting crazy. Someone just shilled me the US dollar, 27 trillion in circulation, unlimited supply cap, one node, 25% of the supply minted in the last 6 months, 1% of holders own 30%. Yeah, it's the US dollar. So that's why it's going crazy. That's why I showed you the debt issuance figures before. 100 trillion every 90 to 100 days of new debt. It's out of control. And this is kind of fun. I did my first ever long form post on Twitter, and nobody reads them because they're too long. People like short little nuggets, so there's no point in writing a long paper on Twitter explaining, because people ask me, how do you do the volume prediction model? Well, nobody cares. People just care about this. I predicted yesterday 15,031 Bitcoin will be sucked into the system. Again, it's approximation, and we'll get down to exactly how much it was in a couple of slides. But first, gold. I've been warning people against gold since I started this channel. Literally, this is crazy. If you look at this, gold ETFs are now at $98 billion. Bitcoin ETFs are at 60 billion. Okay? Now, it took gold, 20 years to get there, and Bitcoin did 60% of gold in 8 weeks. And other news, it did, I can't remember the exact statistic, but something like in 35 trading days, it got to 2/3 the size of the gold ETF that it took to get to in 3 years. 30 days, 3 years. It's crazy how much money is going into Bitcoin, especially compared to the so-called old store of value gold. And another reason to be in Bitcoin is this. If this was a corporation, it would be trading at zero and it would be delisted. The big takeaway from this, it's a long P&L. Shout out to Anthony. But it took, if you look at the P&L of the US government, it took 63% of all revenue, which is income taxes, in Feb to pay the interest on debt. No roads, no military, no schools, no social security, no wars, just interest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit of a eye chart, but 2/3 of all income is now going on interest. Deficits will explode. More printing will happen. The dollar will debase at an accelerated pace. That's just what it is. Now, Bitcoin black hole. Let's jump into the numbers. Day 42, believe it or not, this is the macro view. Most important thing is look at the bottom right-hand corner. Look at that little 79 in orange, minus 79 in orange. That's grayscale. That's one of the lowest dumpage days we've ever had for grayscale. It could be high tomorrow, but the point is it looks like they depleted fast. They did a big dump yesterday, and here we are. And look at the top right corner, 849, monster day. Also, HODL did it 119 million yesterday, another 119 on Monday, 83 million yesterday, all because zero fees till the end of the year. So a lot of money is flowing into HODL as well. Another incentive for people to allocate towards Bitcoin. because it's free. There's no management fees like other ETFs. And I did mention this as VanEck is the HODL ticker, and you can see the amount of money that came in yesterday, and it's still flowing in, and that is the impact of no fees. Now, this is another view of exactly what happened. Two things that are very striking, maybe three things in this chart. One, IBIT, BlackRock, red, biggest day ever. Grayscale, one of the lowest dumpage days ever. And HODL is now doing more than Fidelity. That's a little skinny orange line that just peaked above the blue line, and it's rare that that happens. So all of these ETFs are alive and kicking. They're doing quite well. Now, just to give you perspective of how big the day was yesterday, day 42, over $1 billion flew into these puppies. Biggest day ever. Again, not to stress, but the biggest day ever by far. By far, day 42. Now, total money flow accelerating. It's going vertical right now at this stage. And this will get attention. Not only does price going up get attention, but also charts like this hopefully get attention. And now we have $22.3 billion into the 9 new ETFs in 42 days, which is very, very large. And in terms of Bitcoin, that's 439,000 Bitcoin in the new ETFs, again, in 42 days. Very, very big deal indeed. Now, let's look at the amount taken off the market yesterday. See how that compares to my estimate from volume analysis. 14,620 Bitcoin were taken out of the system yesterday. That's a big chunk. It's also a record chunk. And remember, if we go back to day one, we lost 13,496 in the system. But the price of Bitcoin is nearly twice as high. So put that in perspective. That's a lot of Bitcoin at a much higher price. So the money flow is actually much higher as well. And I did say yesterday 15,031 was my estimate out of the system. It was 14,620. So we'll see what it'll be today. In fact, while we're looking live, let's check the ETF volumes because they tell me exactly how many will be sucked out today. So it's not as big as yesterday. We got nearly 40 million for BlackRock, and we have 2 hours left on the trading day. GBTC is a little higher than Fidelity, so we'll see. But still, it won't be a day like yesterday, but it'll be a good day. And especially if GBTC is slowing down because the new mini GBTC with less fees that's coming. So let's look at two little charts and I'll let you all go. Thank you all for coming as well. Thank you for the likes. I've been up since 4. Anyway, this is somebody who tweeted me on Twitter after my post of this video. Crypto Moon, shout out. I like to help, up and comers get exposure. This is their little chart, and it is a shocking revelation. This Bitcoin chart forecasts a potential $228,000 peak for Bitcoin in March 2025, aligning with April 2021's real high if history repeats itself. And we'll see where it goes. What's interesting about this chart, though, is you look at the days at the bottom, 1035, 1004, 1006, it's assuming history repeats. It also isn't assuming a lot of that whole left-hand transfer cycle thing that people are talking about, but just a little bit. But again, we have a long way to go. We have 13 months at least, and maybe 8 years of upwards action, which is awesome. Stay on the train. Don't be shaken out. And Bitcoin performance since the ETF launch up nearly 75% since January 11th. That chart should tell you this thing is not slowing down. When you see the girth of the blue line getting bigger, that's more momentum. That's more money, which is reflected in this chart, in this chart, in this chart, and things like this chart too. Okay, so this thing is not slowing down, ladies and gentlemen. We're only just warming up. Wait till sovereigns and pension funds and more high net worth individuals and institutions start loading in. Wait till the miners stop selling. And I will share this one more time. Probably the most important chart today, after all of mine, of course, is this. They're sucking in 16.2 times what's actually being produced. And retail and everybody else is stacking right now. I don't know where they're finding the Bitcoin. We should investigate that too. Anyway, thank you all for coming, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. Shout out to Annika dancing in the Swiss Alps, celebrating her Robin Hood balance going through the moon. with Bitcoin at 73K. She was away for a little while, so she didn't check. Thank you to the 6,000 people watching live. Hit the like. Thank you, Emma. And a special thank you again to Donald Craig Harris. And you're all wonderful people. Thank you to the mods in the chat. And I'll see you all later. A little surprise video coming later too. Okay? Bye all.